Hey guys, Nick here, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a key difference between dress watches here and, of course, sport watches. I felt that this video was kind of warranted. Share a little bit about myself. We actually have a wedding this weekend, so we will be dressing appropriately, and a lot of people ask me, can I, especially as someone who wears suits and, works with clothing quite a bit with my other company. Um, it is something I wanted to discuss. And just kind of the difference between, of course, a sports watch and a dress watch. Where is each piece appropriate? Where does each piece kind of fit in that overall collection of yours? And go from there. So for starters, we have dress watches. This dress watch is a vintage AP. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller at 34 millimeters. We've talked about this piece before. It's one of my favorite dress pieces. And what you'll notice, of course, is the dress watch tends to have a cleaner face. It's a little less busy on the dial. And of course, the pros to that is, of course, how slim and sleek it is. So it's something that could really fit under a dress cuff rather easily. This, of course, is not a suit, but if I wanted to put it under a dress cuff, it would fit rather easily. And of course, you have price point. So because dress watches, I will admit, in recent years, sport watches, the Rolex sport models have become more popular. Dress watches have become more affordable to the public. So something like this can be had for between $4,000 and $5,000, depending on the dial configuration. And I think that's really awesome and great. And a benefit, of course, is the fact that because the dress watch is very minimalistic and very sleek, they usually come in pretty classic colors. So you have your whites, you have your golds, you have your grays, you have your blacks. Sometimes you have navy blue. Dress watches can come in any color, but these are the most common colors. Of course, you're looking for something that can fit with most formal attire, most classic attire, such as suits and sport coats and dresses. Even if you're the woman in the audience. And what I find is beneficial about that is the wearability of the item. So very similar to, how I get an article of clothing. When I make for myself an article of clothing, I choose the color based on the wearability. So how often do I plan on wearing this piece? If it's something that's very unique, that's got a crazy dial, or something that's maybe a little bit larger, it's a piece that I might save for a special occasion. It's a piece that I might not always wear every day. But if you're something like a high-powered lawyer, a stockbroker, or something, sticking with those classic colors of, like I said, the white, the black, the gray, the navy blues, you get a lot more wearability out of the piece. So if I'm picking up a dress piece for, let's say, $5,000 and I'm wearing it every day, versus I'm buying myself a crazy MB&F that's really interesting. It's got the purple dial and it's super awesome, and I'm not knocking those pieces because I think there is a place for them in your collection. You just get less wear out of it. So I think of watches as, not only as, stores of value, but as accessories. So how often will I be wearing the watch? Is that question that I ask before I pick up any piece. Of course, as a dealer, the question is a little different. It's how popular will the piece be to my market, versus something I would pick up my personal collection. But when you have a dress watch, that is definitely something that you get a lot more wear out of. Now, of course, there are drawbacks. I don't want to call them negative, but there are different, cons to picking a dress watch over a sport watch, and that's, of course, the durability of the piece. Something like this is going to break and shatter and not be as easy to work with as something like this that is hefty. It can take a beating. It can take a couple scratches. You get a couple scratches on a dress watch, and suddenly it's not as classic of a piece. Another drawback if you're a larger wrist gentleman or lady, dress watches are usually 35 millimeters and under. Sometimes it can be a little bit bigger, but for the most part, most of the classic vintage dress watches that we carry here and that we talk about on this channel and that a lot of the people that I work with speak about are 35 millimeters and under. So if you're a larger wrist gentleman, 7.5, 8, I've worked with people as large of a wrist as 8.25. It might be eaten up by the size of your wrist. So it's a piece proportionally that you can have some difficulty with. I think some great dress watch options in that case are, of course, the Patek Philippe Calo travel line, but I think you can have a nice mix. Doesn't necessarily need to be all dress watch or all sport watch. Something like I would probably consider is something like an Aquaterra on strap. That's a piece that is a little bit more sporty, but you can dress it up on a strap, and then all of a sudden it becomes a much more interesting dress watch. If we talk about these sport models, this, of course, is that Rolex Sea Dweller. It's the Red Line Sea Dweller, and it's a beautiful piece. The sport models, of course, what they have going for them is that durability. So, something like this can take a beating. It can take a couple scratches. It can take, a couple door knocks and still have a lot of charm and appeal to it. If you are somebody with a moderate or large size wrist, a lot of these sport pieces, are awesome to wear because they fit your wrist. And for me, I like to feel like I'm wearing a watch. When I'm in a dressier situation, 100% I'll wear a dress watch. But for the most part, I want to feel like something's on my wrist, and that's not something that you totally get when you're wearing a dress piece. Of course, the things about these dress watches are, these sport watches are, of course, the face tends to be a little bit more cluttered because a lot of these sport watches, believe it or not, people use them and they use them as they're intended. So you might have something like a tachometer, you might have something like a date wheel, you might have something like a chronograph, and people use them as intended. So the face is going to be, the dial is going to be a little bit more cluttered. Whether that's a pro or a con, we don't know. But in sport watches, of course, you do have that leeway of coming in really interesting colors because they tend to be worn with more casual attire, such as polos and regular T-shirts, things like that, jackets. Of course, you have the con of the sports piece is the pricing. You have sports watches, beautiful pieces, but as they've become more popular, they tend to go above retail. That's for most pieces, especially in the Rolex line, especially in the AP line. They are pieces that if they break or if they shatter, it can be really difficult to replace those parts. The parts, the replacement on the pieces are a lot more expensive than if you were to get something vintage, unless, of course, it's harder to find that vintage piece. And some examples of these sport models are, of course, you have this Red Line Sea Dweller for those that do have a bigger wrist and want something a little bit more substantial on their wrist. You have something like Speedmaster Chronograph is a great sports watch to start with. You're looking at $5,000 to $6,000 depending on the model you get, whether it's a Sapphire model or the Hesalite model, and it's got some great functions there, such as a chronograph. You have a third example is that AP Royal Oak Offshore is, of course, a much larger piece, and the cool thing about the offshores is very similar to the Panerai brand is the straps and what you can do with the straps, and how you can enjoy the watch. And not to say that you can't do that on a sports watch, but or on a dress watch rather, but on the dress watch, I feel like if you're going to do it right, your options are really limited to these neutral colors such as navy and brown and black. And so that's kind of my opinion. And where do I see how it's appropriate of when to wear what. I think for like, this weekend, as we mentioned, we have, a wedding, and that's something I'm going to wear a dress watch to because I want it to, fit under my cuff of my suit jacket. Of course, you have those mixed, things if you're going golfing, if you're going to a special event. For the most part, I try to wear a suit with a watch with a strap. I feel like with a bracelet, it can get really hefty and very hard to maneuver. It doesn't really fit under the cuff, and it can look a little awkward. But again, the cool thing about watch collecting is you can wear and you can collect whatever you like, and as long as you enjoy it and you're rocking the watch and you do so with confidence, you can pretty much do whatever you want. So, again, I appreciate you guys hearing my opinions on dress watch versus sports watch, and what I prefer and what I like. And I'd love to hear what you like down in the comments. Now, of course, if you want to go to our website, we did just write a companion article about this on our website, a beautiful blog post. So thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments. Thanks.